The coup d'etat of August 27, 1985, which saw Major General Muhammadu Buhari overthrown by General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, marked a significant turning point in Nigerian political history. To understand this event fully, one must delve into the political climate of Nigeria at the time, the characters involved, and the broader implications of the coup. Political climate leading to the coup. Nigeria in the early 1980s was a nation fraught with economic challenges and political instability. Muhammadu Buhari came to power on December 31, 1983, through a military coup that ousted the democratically elected government of President Shehu Shagari. Buhari's regime promised to end corruption, bring economic recovery, and restore discipline. However, his tenure was marked by stringent economic measures, widespread human rights abuses, and an uncompromising stance against dissent. Buhari's government implemented a harsh regime known as the War Against Indiscipline, WAI. This campaign sought to instill civic virtue and personal responsibility among Nigerians but was often criticized for its authoritarian methods. The regime's economic policies, which included austerity measures under the Structural Adjustment Program recommended by the International Monetary Fund (IMF), led to widespread discontent. These policies included cutting public spending, reducing subsidies, and devaluing the currency, which exacerbated the suffering of ordinary Nigerians amid an economic recession. Moreover, Buhari's administration detained numerous politicians, activists, and journalists without trial under the infamous Decree No. 2, which allowed for indefinite detention. This created an atmosphere of fear and repression, alienating many within the military and civilian populations. Ibrahim Babangida, the architect of the coup, General Ibrahim Babangida, often referred to as IBB, was a prominent figure in the Nigerian military and had held various key positions, including Chief of Army Staff. Known for his political savvy and network within the military, Babangida had a reputation as a cunning strategist. His discontent with Buhari's rigid regime and his desire for a more inclusive and diplomatically adept administration motivated his orchestration of the coup. Babangida and his supporters within the military believed that Buhari's draconian measures were unsustainable and damaging to Nigeria's long-term stability. They argued that a change in leadership was necessary to adopt more pragmatic policies and restore confidence among both the populace and international community. Execution of the coup. The plan to overthrow Buhari was meticulously crafted. Babangida and his co-conspirators, including senior military officers such as Brigadier Joshua Nimul Doganyaro, Major General Sani Abacha, and Lieutenant Colonel Aliyu Mohammed Gusso, carefully plotted the coup to minimize bloodshed and ensure a swift takeover. In the early hours of August 27, 1985, the coup was executed with precision. Soldiers loyal to Babangida took strategic positions in Lagos, the then capital of Nigeria. Buhari, along with his chief of staff, Major General Idi Agbon, was taken by surprise. The coup was largely bloodless, and there was minimal resistance from troops loyal to Buhari, indicating significant support within the military for Babangida's takeover. In a radio broadcast later that day, Brigadier Joshua Doganyaro announced the coup to the nation. He criticized Buhari's government for its dictatorial tendencies and lack of economic progress. Doganyaro stated that the military had decided to intervene to save the nation from imminent collapse. Shortly thereafter, Babangida addressed the nation, outlining his vision for Nigeria and promising to restore civil liberties and improve the economy. Motivations behind the coup. Several factors motivated Babangida and his fellow conspirators to overthrow Buhari. Economic mismanagement. The austerity measures implemented by Buhari, though aimed at stabilizing the economy, were deeply unpopular. Babangida and his supporters believed these policies were too harsh and poorly executed, worsening the economic situation rather than improving it. Political repression. Buhari's administration was notorious for its suppression of dissent and civil liberties. The use of Decree No. 2 to detain critics without trial created an atmosphere of fear and stifled political discourse. Babangida's coup was partly motivated by a desire to end this repression and restore a semblance of political freedom. Internal military discontent, Buhari's rigid and disciplinarian approach did not sit well with many in the military hierarchy. His lack of consultation and inclusive decision-making alienated key military figures, creating a rift that Babangida exploited to gain support for the coup. Personal ambitions. Babangida was an ambitious military officer with significant influence within the armed forces. His political acumen and desire for power played a crucial role in his decision to orchestrate the coup. Babangida believed he could lead Nigeria more effectively and was determined to realize this ambition. Immediate aftermath of the coup. Following the successful coup, Babangida took control as the new head of state. One of his first actions was to release political detainees held by Buhari's regime, signaling a departure from the repressive tactics of his predecessor. He also promised to return the country to civilian rule. Although this promise would later prove controversial and protracted, Babangida sought to stabilize the economy by adopting a more flexible approach to economic management. He engaged with international financial institutions and initiated the Structural Adjustment Program (SAP) with the IMF, aiming to liberalize the economy, reduce government spending, and attract foreign investment. These measures, while controversial and painful in the short term, were intended to lay the foundation for long-term economic stability. Long-term implications of the coup. Babangida's rule, which lasted until 1993, was marked by a complex legacy of economic reforms, political maneuvering, and significant controversies. His administration introduced several policies aimed at economic liberalization and diversification. However, these policies were often met with mixed reactions and varying degrees of success. Politically, Babangida attempted to transition Nigeria to civilian rule. He established the Armed Forces Ruling Council (AFRC) and created new political parties in an effort to engineer a controlled democratization process. However, his annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, widely regarded as free and fair and won by Moshood Koshimawo Olowale Abiola, sparked widespread outrage and political crisis, ultimately leading to his resignation and the appointment of an interim government. The annulment of the election is one of the most criticized aspects of Babangida's tenure, casting a long shadow over his legacy. It undermined his credibility and led to accusations of manipulating the political process to retain power. Reflections on the coup. The 1985 coup is often seen as a critical juncture in Nigeria's political history. It highlighted the volatility of Nigerian politics and the pivotal role of the military in shaping the country's governance. Babangida's coup against Buhari underscored the fragility of military regimes and the inherent challenges in balancing authoritarian control with the need for political and economic reforms. In retrospect, the coup reflects the complexities of leadership in a diverse and economically challenged nation like Nigeria. While Babangida sought to rectify the perceived failings of Buhari's regime, his own tenure revealed the difficulties in implementing broad reforms in a context of deep-seated political and economic issues. Conclusion: the overthrow of Muhammadu Buhari by Ibrahim Babangida in 1985 was a defining moment in Nigerian history, characterized by a confluence of economic challenges, political repression, and military ambition. Babangida's rise to power was facilitated by widespread discontent within the military and civilian population, coupled with his strategic acumen and vision for a more pragmatic governance approach. While Babangida's regime brought some economic reforms and temporarily eased political repression, it also faced significant challenges and controversies, particularly regarding the transition to civilian rule. The 1985 coup remains a testament to the complexities of governance in Nigeria and the pivotal role of the military in the country's political landscape.